I'm almost embarrassed to say this because every time I say it, people think it's funny and they try to make fun of me and they're like, cringe, cringe. But I'm just gonna be honest. One of my favorite influencers, actually my absolute favorite influencer, who had the most influence on me, is MAHDI TIDJANI. Now he's an extremely controversial guy, right? Like nobody really likes him, and it's only like a very specific demographic of men that sort of like him. But I want to discuss something here that I think I've stumbled upon. And this is going to explain why so many men gravitate towards him, even though he's such a controversial figure. So, the Muslim world has changed. We are not the same as we were, like, maybe 10 years or even 20 years ago. We used to be a lot more, life used to be a lot more simple. You would be a good person, you maybe go to university, you get a good degree, and you get a wife and she'd obey you and she wouldn't complain. That's the life that Muslims traditionally lived. But in the modern world, good luck with that. If you're a normal guy in the modern world and you don't study the psychology of women and you just live your life as an average Joe, this is exactly what's going to happen to you. You're going to finish university. You're going to find some woman to marry. Maybe you'll find her through university, through friends and family and whatnot. You'll be happy for the first few months. And then honeymoon phases will pass. What I mean by this is she will realize, wait a second, why am I not having fun anymore? Why is it boring now? And you still like, you don't really care because, you're like, oh, well, I'm married now. So you're just happy about it. And you just kind of like, you kind of just like going with the flow. But the woman is like, I don't want to, I'm bored. I want to get out of here. And soon she becomes more boring. She's on her phone all the time. She doesn't really want to talk to you. And yeah, eventually the relationship just comes crumbling down. So some men have woken up to this reality, but a majority of men haven't. Majority of men, the way they're thinking is like, well, if I'm just a good boy, like if I'm just the best boy I can be, I do my homework, I go to university, I listen to my parents, women must be extremely thrilled to be with me, like these fairy tales. And I really, really wish that it worked that way. And I'm just saying it as someone who actually cares about the Muslim community. If I was just after pleasing people, I would just tell you, yeah, that's what you gotta do. It's simply not the reality we are living in. So you can't just be a normal good boy. It's usually the men who have no experience with women who tend to fall into this trap. And they live the life of average Abdul that I just described. Firstly, before I explain the MAHDI TIDJANI effect, I'll tell you why this is happening in the first place. What's the common factor? Men aren't accepting that there is a dark reality to the world, and especially to women. They think that as long as you're a good boy, everything is just gonna be good. But that's brainwashing. It's brainwashing from your family and fairy tales. It does not work like that. Women have a dark side just like anyone else. And this is not a bad thing. Women need to be constantly entertained, and they need drama, and they need fun in their life. And the good boys simply can't give that to them. Before, they were just accepting boring men because, it was hard times, like there wasn't that much money and whatnot. Because she was like, well, at least I'm being provided for. Nowadays, women can technically work and make money on their own. So you need to bring something else to the table. And this is where this dark psychology comes into play. This is what MAHDI TIDJANI talks about all the time. If you learn how to create drama in the woman's life, your marriage life is going to be 1,000,000,000 times better for both of you. You might think this is manipulative and evil, and that's what these good little boys think in the comments. They're like, oh, that's haram. It's not haram if you're just a dumbass. So when you start implementing these things and you start understanding that you need to be a certain kind of guy, you're going to realize how differently women treat you. And this is not that you manipulated them. They're genuinely happy, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, to give you an example, this is what MAHDI TIDJANI sort of talks about. He understands that in order to keep women happy, you need to play the game. You need to, firstly, you need to have options. She needs to know that you're not desperate to stay with her. You have other options if you need. And then you need to make it clear that you are qualifying her. You're not qualifying to her, because that's really unattractive to women. You're a man who has options. You're not fully attached to her. You're not dependent on her. You might think, oh, you should be dependent on her because the Disney movie told me you should be like that. But that's because you're still a child. You need to grow up. You shouldn't be dependent on your woman. You should be able to walk away at any time because you have other more important things in your life to worry about. When you have those things in place, the women will start respecting you. Does MAHDI TIDJANI get respect from women? Yes. They might hate him, they might despise him, but they still respect him. That's why he has, like 3 or 4 wives. This goes for any man who's sort of like, people say misogynistic, he doesn't really respect women. And people say that, but they are really mistaken on what a good person is. A good person is not someone who's a good boy, who's always reliant on people. A good man is the one who's able to walk away from anything at any time, but he's still willing to provide and be kind to these people. That's a good man. And once you start implementing that, that's when life is going to get easier. Now, it makes me really sad that Muslim men don't really figure this out until it's too late. Because it's usually, you need to have some experience with women to understand this. Now, you can get married, and then later on, you might realize this. And then you might start changing course throughout the marriage. But that's not what most people do. Because once you're in that marriage, then the momentum catches on. Once you start being emotional and start being like a little mama's boy, you can't stop yourself. You're just going to keep being like that non-stop. You're going to want to be that bad guy again, but you're going to want to be like MAHDI TIDJANI, but you physically can't because momentum has caught on. So I'm going to use one more example, and I'm going to try really hard to keep it humble. But the way women treat me is better than women would treat these online feminists. This is the strange thing that I didn't even realize would happen. But when my videos are so misogynistic, you could say, right? Especially on my Instagram. And when I started making those videos, I thought once I start this, women aren't going to like me. But I didn't care because I was quite confident in my ability to charm women anyway. So I was like, okay, if a bunch of women online don't like me, who cares? I don't want to marry anyone from there anyway. So when I started making videos and I was really almost like openly critical about women, a lot of them hated me, but they still respected me. So I still get women that really like me. I get some women that really hate me, and I get some women that really like me. And honestly, I'll take that deal any time of the day. So once you start being that polarizing figure, where you don't care if people hate you, you don't care if women hate you, that's when you're gonna start applying the MAHDI TIDJANI effect. So, the choice is yours. You can be a good boy. I personally don't care. But if you want a good life and you want my honest recommendation, this is advice from Uncle Boris. So, your choice, man, and give me your thoughts in the comments if you think I said something wrong, and subscribe to the channel if you're new here.